Resident Evil. Capcom's 1996 horror game that helped establish the genre survival horror is also one of my favorite games of all time. What sticks with me the most, though, is probably the opening cutscene. If you haven't seen it, instead of having CG effects, it actually has live-action, albeit poorly acted, sequence that explains how the survivors got trapped inside the mansion. What's interesting about it is that aside from being in black and white, which I'll admit is also the case in Japan for most versions, it's very hard to follow because it was heavily cut. Now, for those that are thinking this was due to parent groups or censorship at the time, it was actually a conscious decision by Capcom USA to avoid problems. This was a large part of regionalization at the time. And so when I was watching it as a kid, I never understood, what was really going on in that scene. So today I've decided to dissect it here for you now, and for reference, we're going to look at the original version, as I'm going to present it here from America, and then we'll go back and take a look at some of the differences from the Japanese version.
Alpha Team is flying around the forest zone situated in northwest Raccoon City, where we're searching for the helicopter of our compatriots Bravo Team, who disappeared during the middle of our mission.
You haven't found it?
No, I haven't found it yet. Bizarre murder cases have recently occurred in Raccoon City. There are outlandish reports of families being attacked by a group of about 10 people. Victims were apparently eaten. Bravo Team went to the hideout of the group and disappeared.
Look, Chris!
It was Bravo Team's helicopter. Nobody was in it. But strangely, most of the equipment was still there. However, we soon discovered why.
Hey! Come here!
There are only 3 STARS members left now. Captain Wesker, Jill, and myself. We don't know where Barry is.
Chris Redfield. Jill Valentine. Barry Burton. Rebecca Chambers. Albert Wesker. Resident Evil.
So there you have it. There's the American cutscene, and it's very clear what happened. Obviously a tragedy. Obviously Joseph eats it, but you don't quite know what Joseph discovered other than a hand, and you don't really know what happened to him other than obviously dogs attacked him. So I went on a search for the original cutscene so I could get a better idea. Now, I had once been shown a YouTube video that showed a full color version of the cutscene, and while that may exist in some versions, after having imported several versions and tried several versions in America, I can tell you for a fact that the scene you just saw is in every single American version. I heard rumors that the Saturn version had a different opening. It does not. I own it. I heard rumors that different versions of the director's cut, which was how Capcom originally tried to sell it to us, would have the original cutscene. That also proved to not be the case. And even the PC version has this cutscene you have just watched. Now, in Japan, there were several versions as well, and after having imported the Saturn version, the PlayStation version of the original long box, and then the PlayStation version of the director's cut, I can tell you that I have never found this color version. So maybe it was an initial release version or a demo version that I never got my hands on. Regardless, it is still a very different version from the American cut that kind of shows you a little bit more of what actually happened with Joseph and surrounding it. Plus, it has some more poorly acted sequences and great CGI effects with these dog puppets. So without further ado, here it is for you now.
Alpha Team is flying around the forest zone situated in northwest Raccoon City, where we're searching for the helicopter of our compatriots Bravo Team, who disappeared during the middle of our mission. No, I haven't found it yet. Bizarre murder cases have recently occurred in Raccoon City. There are outlandish reports of families being attacked by a group of about 10 people. Victims were apparently eaten. Bravo Team went to the hideout of the group and disappeared.
Look, Chris!
It was Bravo Team's helicopter. Nobody was in it. But strangely, most of the equipment was still there. However, we soon discovered why.
Hey! Come here!
Joseph!
No! Don't go! Jill, run for that house!
There are only 3 STARS members left now. Captain Wesker, Jill, and myself. We don't know where Barry is.
Chris Redfield. Jill Valentine. Barry Burton. Rebecca Chambers, Albert Wesker, Biohazard.
And there you have it. So while there's no doubt that there are clear differences in the two versions, and frankly that the latter version is a little more campy and indicative of what you'd expect kind of from a franchise of this type in that time, you know, it's definitely not worth scouring the earth like I did trying to find additional versions, and you're crazy if you think I'm going to try to hunt down a color cutscene version of it if it even does exist. I'll leave that to the archivers and the pirates online. But what I will say is that on the GameCube, Capcom did finally get to, with its Resident Evil Remake, you know, kind of tie up loose ends. Instead of having poorly acted cutscenes, which required probably a stage and a set and things like that and puppets, they instead did the full-blown CGI cutscene, and it retells the events as they were actually supposed to happen and is very easy to follow. So I'm going to leave you with this episode of Versions for Resident Evil's opening scene with that, and without further ado, enjoy!
Alpha Team is flying around the forest zone situated in northwest Raccoon City, where we are searching for the helicopter of our compatriots, Bravo Team, who disappeared during the middle of their mission.
Haven't found it yet?
No, not yet, Brad. Bizarre murder cases have recently occurred in Raccoon City. There are outlandish reports of families being attacked by a group of about 10 people. Victims were apparently eaten. The Bravo Team was sent in to investigate, but we lost contact.
Look, Chris!
Bravo Team's helicopter was a derelict. Save for the remaining body of Kevin. We continued our search for the other members, and it turned into a nightmare.
This way. Damn it! Make for that mansion!
There are only 3 STARS members left now. Captain Wesker, Jill, and myself. We don't know where Barry is.